OGLEE in the house. Once again. Thank goodness. It's time for the stock pick of the month. And this month, February, is a short month. Black History Month even. But this month, I want to talk a little bit about, let me tell you the story first. So this guy, right, he got geeked up about investing. And he finally went in and he invested. He had $1,000 just here recently. And he went in, got him an account. I think it was E-Trade or one of them. He invested his initial $1,000. The very next day, he sold the shares that he bought the day before for $100 less, 10%. He was mad. So he said, man, I had to get out of it. He said, the first day I bought it, the shit went down 10%. He said, I got out of that. He said, hey, I couldn't handle it. Well, I invested on Monday. And that was just this past week. He said, I invested on Monday. And so the very next day, that Tuesday, my stuff went down like 10%. He said, I looked and my thing was down to like $901. He said, immediately I sold it. And so I asked him who the company was. And I looked at it. And what had occurred was it's earnings season. And this is one thing, if nothing else, that you remember. Earnings season makes stocks, even good solid stocks, volatile. Earnings season. Earnings season is basically the companies reporting on their financial. So they let you know how the company did financially, in other words. They submit these reports to the public, basically. And the analysts, from their technical analysis, they have estimated these two important parameters, earnings and revenues, and not necessarily in that order. But anyway, revenues and earnings per share is what they're looking for. And so they, through their technical analysis, have calculated what they think these companies should bring in as far as revenue, and they calculate what their earnings per share should be. And if they beat these numbers, meaning do better than these analysts predicted, the street rewards the company usually. And vice versa, if they don't make these numbers or beat these numbers, the street can punish them, sometimes 10, 15%. And that's what happened to him. It was earnings season. He was in a good company, but just that quarter, probably still from some of the lag of the pandemic, they didn't make as much. So their earnings per share and their revenues were down. Boom, they got hit with that volatility. That's when he got in around that time. Now, had he known, he would have stayed put until a few trading sessions after this report and all of that activity, and things would have eventually come back to normal. So it's very important that you realize at least that if you're investing during earnings season, you have to be very careful. Now, on the flip side, you can take a good company who just has a bad quarter, and if you are long on that company or you want to get long, earnings season, when it dips on the bad earnings, that may be a good time to get in. Earnings season, very important. Take a look at this. So this is, again, what the importance of it is. Earnings per share, revenues. Revenues and earnings per share. Those are the numbers to look for. And sometimes, if you've got your ear, to the ground, you can anticipate from a lot of the news that comes out. You got to know how to decipher the news, though. But from the news, you can determine what their earnings are going to be like. Sometimes when you know what the earnings are going to be like, or you think you know, you can get in, perhaps if it's going to be an upward motion, or You can kind of wait it out, see how it does on the downside, get in and ride back up. It's very important because you could overreact the way my man So now he's got to come back up. But the bigger thing is he has got a fear now of the market when it really didn't have to be that way had he known to or not to invest during earnings season. Very important. Anyway, this is OGLEE, and I'll see you